During the offseason, Jeremiah Smith told us Julian Sayin can make every throw, and that was on full display during Ohio State's 70-0 win over Grambling State.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Sunday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And during today's show, we will discuss why Ohio State had the right mindset in their blowout win over Grambling State. But first, Jeremiah Smith knows a good quarterback when he sees one. He also understands that some guys have a lot of hype around their name, but don't live up to the expectations. Well, Julian Sayin, when he came to Ohio State, was expected to be Ohio State starter this year. Now, he had to go through the quarterback competition, and he had to earn the right to be Ohio State's QB1. But once he earned that title, he had to go on the field and prove to everybody in the world that he is the right guy for the job. And for the second week in a row, Julian Sayin showed us he's a right man to lead Ohio State's offense. And today a day ago, we got to see why Julian Sayin is the real deal. This man can make every throw. And Jeremiah Smith told us in the offseason, I believe it was with an interview with The Athletic, that Julian Sayin can make every throw. And he was accurate in his statement. He sees it every day in practice. And we got to see it on full display on Saturday afternoon. This young man completed his first 16 passes of the game. He was 18 of 19, throwing for 306 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. And on that opening drive, it kind of just set up Sayin to build some confidence throughout the game, because in those 4 passes that he completed on that opening drive, one was to Brandon Ennis, one was to Carnell Tate, one was to Jeremiah Smith, the other was to Will Kazmarek. 4 different receivers, 4 different athletes, but all of them had the same goal: get open, catch the ball, and move upfield. That's exactly what happened. Now, the one to Will Kazmarek was an RPO, and Ryan Day said they tried to add more RPOs this week for Sayin to get him some game reps, utilizing that asset of Ohio State's offense. And I think it's a great tool for Sayin, not only to utilize that to get more game reps. I think he flourishes with the RPO. His ability to read and process quickly and to get the ball out with the special touch that's on his hand, I think the RPO game for him is his bread and butter. Now, you're going to have to do some 3 and 5 step, 7-step drops, and not everything can be simply an RPO. There are going to be some rollouts and things like that. But he flourishes in the RPO game, and that showed up just a day ago. The deep passes, the long ones, the ones over the middle, the ones from the right hash to the left sideline. It doesn't matter. Sayin can do it all. And to complete your first 16 passes of a game, I mean, literally, we all know the emoji where your mind is blown and you send it to your friends. Well, my mind is blown simply thinking about what he did. He didn't seem fazed. He didn't seem out of control. He didn't seem like he was losing the poise that he is known to have. Even after throwing the interception, which was the one bad throw we've seen him make in his first 2 starts at Ohio State. It was a bad read. I mean, it was a decent read, just bad timing on the throw, where if he threw it a little bit earlier, simply when Carnell Tate broke out of his in his route, he probably would have caught the ball. It would have been a touchdown. But Sayin held the ball a little bit too long, threw the ball. The defender was right there with pretty good defense. Bam, interception. And so the coverage was good. Sayin held the ball too long, and he quickly can learn from that aspect, because not only did he going to learn from it in film today, but also he was able to learn from it in film on the sideline after he threw the interception. Being able to have the iPad on the sideline now is a great sign that the college football is catching up to the rest of society and the rest of football, because even at the high school level, they can have iPads and TVs and they can watch film during the game. And so the fact that they can do that now is huge. But also being able to go over there, sit there with Billy Fessler and Lincoln Kienholz, and to hear Brian Hartline in your ear talking to you about the things that happen, that's a great learning tool. And it's a teachable moment, a coachable moment for Julian Sayin. His ability to stay level-headed every single play, every single moment is great. And not only when Jeremiah Smith sees it and he says it, that's one thing. Jeremiah Smith is a big, bold voice because he is that dude as a receiver. But It's another thing to put that on display week after week after week. And Ryan Day kind of had to joke a little bit when it came to Julian Sayin's interception. He wasn't happy that he threw the ball that way in harm's way, but he realizes, well, this might be the last one. Here's Ryan Day kind of joking about Julian Sayin's interception. Quote, when you can get some of these first-time things behind you, it is good, but that's it. No more interceptions, not allowed, end quote. And Ryan Day was kind of chuckling and laughing when he made that statement, and I'm right there with him. Hey, Sayin, hey, my man, no more interceptions. But what we want from Ohio State is more of the mindset they had against Grambling State, because the Buckeyes went into the game with the right mentality, and they kept that thing all day long. This episode is brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Their trade master perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trade Master program today. It scores serious perks like priority shipping, low prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football game as low as $25. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. That's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Quick question for all you college football fans out there. If you could go back in time and sit front row at your school's biggest rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Yes, I said hat. For me, it would be the game. These aren't just hats. They're the same vintage styles fans wore back in the 80s and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same price they did back then. When you use code LOCKED ON, you will get your vintage hat for $16.99. Once again, when you use code LOCKED ON, you will get your vintage hat for $16.99. Head to thegamecaps.com. Grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use code LOCKED ON for an exclusive discount, because legends wear the game. Thank y'all for tapping into the special Sunday episode of Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. From here on out, the day after a game on a Sunday, we will be having an extra show kind of diving deeper into the notebook about what we witnessed on a college football Saturday. That includes next week, as the Buckeyes have a night game against the Ohio Bobcats. There will be the normal live show after the fact, and then an extra show coming your way on that Sunday. So we're ramping up and going to have extra covered for you, because Buckeye fans love football, and that's what we're going to talk about here every day of the week. And Ohio State did a great job coming into their game against Grambling State with the right mindset. It would have been very, very easy for Ohio State to look and see who they're playing, look and see who that team played in week one, and kind of fall into the trap of not rising to the occasion and keep the standard high. But Ohio State went into that game realizing they're coming to our place to play us. We're not going to their place to play them. So when they come to our place, let's give Grambling State the full Ohio State Buckeye treatment from Jump Street, from the first kickoff. Let's make sure when Grambling State goes back home, they realized they played the Ohio State Buckeyes, and they got the fan treatment, they got the football treatment, even got the band treatment. They realized they got the full Ohio State game day treatment, and that's what Grambling State got. And Jeremiah Smith, I believe, was the one that spoke about this after the game, and he's just a man that's just speaking his mind. You're going to ask him a question, as they say. He is going to be someone to speak his mind. And he said not a whole lot of words, but he was very specific when saying Ohio State wanted to, quote, go out there and dominate, end quote, and they didn't want to play down to its competition. It's very easy to do so. You've played games maybe in middle school or high school. Maybe you had a chance to play in college or even after that, and you had an opportunity to play up against a team that was really, really good, maybe even better than you, and you had to play up to their level, and you had to rise to the occasion because you wanted to take them down. There were also moments when you played somebody that wasn't at your level, where you had to ask yourself, are we going to stoop down to their level and play down to the level of our competition? I mean, it's a question you have to ask because it's very natural to not want to go all out. It's very natural for people to kind of want to mail it in. Those things are easy to say and easy to do. But Ohio State in this game, we can marvel at Jeremiah Smith. We can marvel at the things Julian Sayin did. We can marvel at Will Kazmarek and the offensive line blocking and the running game being so good and having over 274 yards after only having 66 yards of rushing a week ago. We can marvel at all of that. Let's not forget what the defense did. The defense in this game against Grambling State didn't allow an inch. Even when the backups came in, you saw a lot of young bucks out there on the field. Those young bucks had the same mentality a Caleb Downs had, and a Caden Curry had, and a Peyton Pierce had, and Igman Olsen had. What was it? Shut them down. Don't allow them to gain an inch. Don't allow them to gain confidence. Shut them down. I know for Grambling State, it was demoralizing and kind of a morale killer when they missed that field goal. But what is it? It's the full Buckeye treatment. When you come into Ohio State and you are not used to playing in a stadium that seats over 100,000 people, and you see the tradition-rich atmosphere, where you see the new changes that Ross Bjork and his team are bringing to the shoe, you may be thinking, man, this place is one of a kind. Yeah, that's part of the full Ohio State treatment. But the Buckeyes defense, once again, is lights out. And you kind of expect when the youngsters come in, especially guys that have never played at Ohio State before, you kind of expect them to go out there and to flop a little bit, have a bad assignment, not wrap up the entire way on a tackle, not go through the echo of the whistle. I mean, those are things you might expect someone to do. Not these young bucks. Absolutely not. They're flying around. They're forcing fumbles. They're getting in the quarterback's face. They're getting sacks. Zion Grady, shout out to you for getting your first Buckeye sack in your young career on the first time you're on the field, getting extended playing time. Really, any playing time to be exact. It's fun to watch, man. And this is the right mindset, not only for the Grambling State game, but for every game. Because a week from now, less than a week from now, actually, when the Buckeyes play the Ohio Bobcats, now, the Bobcats are a better opponent than Grambling State. I believe I saw that they beat West Virginia on Saturday. So it's going to be a bigger test than I think a lot of people thought it was going to be. Make sure when Ohio comes to Ohio State, they get the full Ohio State treatment. The offense, the defense, the special teams, the band, the atmosphere, give them the full Ohio State treatment. And if you are a Buckeye fan that is lucky enough to have one of these, the towels, get you one. If you don't have one, get it at a game. You can get them online. My wife actually surprised me with this towel that I have. We did not go to the Ohio State-Texas game week 1, and I wish I was there because that was a fun atmosphere to be in. But get you a towel, wave that thing around your head like a helicopter. You know that song we're talking about from P.D. Pablo? Go out there and act a fool. Give them the full Ohio State treatment. If the players are going to give their opponent the full Ohio State treatment, the fans should do the same thing. Thank y'all for tapping into this special Sunday episode of Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out Locked on College Football, because my guy Spencer McLaughlin is the place to go to recap a wild college football Saturday. Spencer's going to get you tapped in not only on a Sunday, but every day of the week, recapping a fun, exciting day and weekend, really, of college football, the sport that we love. You can follow Locked on College Football and Locked on Buckeyes right there on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform or jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317 at gmail.com. This has been Locked on Buckeyes on a Sunday. We'll talk to you Monday morning.